Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of What If Demonic Saiyan was in Death Note. Last time we left off after the end of Death Note part 1, where I eliminated L, and gave Light Mortis Death Note. With everyone caught up, let's begin. Over the next 5 years, I continued to carry out my duties as the British Kira, meticulously judging criminals and maintaining order in society. With each passing day, my influence grew, and my legacy as the god of the New World became more entrenched in the fabric of society. Despite my already being rich from investing in Yozuba stocks when they were cheap and selling when they were highest just before the Yozuba Kira was arrested, I remained focused on my education and career. Becoming a qualified neurosurgeon was a testament to my dedication and intelligence, further solidifying my reputation as a respected member of society. Because of this effort, living in luxury atop a skyscraper penthouse was no longer a dream. I embraced the opulent lifestyle that came with my newfound wealth and power. With my penthouse boasting panoramic views of the city skyline, I reveled in the feeling of being on top of the world. The spacious living area was adorned with lavish furnishings, plush sofas, and modern art pieces that reflected my refined taste. Floor-to-ceiling windows flooded the space with natural light during the day, while at night, the glittering city lights cast a mesmerizing glow throughout the room. Entertaining guests became a regular occurrence, with extravagant dinner parties and exclusive gatherings held in my penthouse. The sleek, state-of-the-art kitchen was equipped with top-of-the-line appliances, allowing me to indulge my guests with gourmet meals prepared by a private chef. In addition to my luxurious living quarters, I also invested in a collection of high-end sports cars, each one a symbol of my success and status. From sleek Ferraris to powerful Lamborghinis, I enjoyed the thrill of speeding through the city streets in style. Of course, I also let the Kira task force use a section floor as their headquarters and shared the place with Misa and Light. At the Yagami residence, Light, Soikyo, and Matsuda discuss how people leak the faces of criminals on the internet, which is now no longer allowed to be revealed in Japan. While discussing this, Light's sister Sei enters the room. As Matsuda blushes furiously at Sei's presence, Misa can't help but giggle, amused by his reaction. Seizing the opportunity for a bit of playful banter, I tease Matsuda, calling him an expired apple who's lost his former freshness and juiciness. As I get up from my seat, I wrap my arms around Sei, drawing her into a warm embrace. With a mischievous grin, I announce to everyone present that Sei and I have recently started dating, much to their surprise. I go on to share our plans of buying another condo together, somewhere beautiful, perhaps near a tranquil lake with a view of cherry blossom trees in full bloom. I even suggest getting a few dogs, knowing Sei's fondness for them, and planting a garden where we can spend lazy afternoons together. Sei blushes at my affectionate words, but she leans into the embrace, clearly happy with our budding relationship. Matsuda, still recovering from the embarrassment, chuckles nervously while Soikyo gives me a stern look, though there's a hint of amusement in his eyes. Soikyo gives me a serious look and tells me that we need to talk. Leading me to another room, he sits me down and starts with a serious tone. He begins the conversation by expressing his concerns about Sei and me, reminding me of my responsibility to her well-being and happiness. Soikyo, in his role as both a father and a police officer, wants to ensure that I understand the gravity of the situation. Soikyo, as a father, naturally has concerns about Sei's well-being and happiness. He reminds me of my responsibility to care for her and protect her from harm. With a stern expression, he makes it clear that if I ever do anything to hurt her, he will not hesitate to take action, even if it means arresting me or worse. But as we talk, Soikyo begins to recognize the stability and security I provide. He acknowledges my well-respected job as a neurosurgeon and the support I've offered to the Kira case over the years. He acknowledges that I've been a family friend for years and have always been there to support them, even when things got tough. In the end, Soikyo acknowledges my sincerity and commitment to Seiyu. He sees that I genuinely care for her and that I am dedicated to making her happy. With a nod of approval, he gives his blessing to our relationship, trusting that I will always treat his daughter with love and respect. Having been sweating bullets, I discreetly put away my death note which I had started to pull out in case he had rejected our relationship. Afterwards, Soikyo answers a call from Aizawa and tells Light and Matsuda that they must leave. While en route to my penthouse, Soikyo explains that the director of police Taiki Miura has been kidnapped. The investigation team meets at their headquarters to discuss what has just happened. Aizawa explains that the call came from Taiki Miura's cell phone and that the kidnappers demanded the death note possessed by the Japanese police. The rest of the team is confused when they hear this, as the 6 of them should be the only people to know about death notes. Soikyo tells the team that no one other than members of the Japanese police can know that Taiki Miura has been kidnapped. The next day, an FBI agent calling himself John McEnroe meets with Soikyo and says he wants to see Taiki Miura immediately. But Soikyo explains that Taiki Miura is currently unavailable. McEnroe explains that the Japanese police are no longer fit to handle the Kira case, and he demands that they hand over the death note in their possession. Soikyo takes this as a sign that the FBI kidnapped Taiki Miura, but McEnroe explains that they did not know of the kidnapping, deciding to work with the Japanese police to resolve the kidnapping. Having bugged the investigation headquarters, I'm already aware of the kidnapping and have taken preemptive action to eliminate Taiki Miura before he can leak any more sensitive information. At the investigation team headquarters, Soikyo tells Light that he is fairly certain John McEnroe's real name is Larry Connors. Light realizes that if the kidnappers extracted information from Taiki Miura, then the families of the investigation team are in danger. Just as this thought occurs to him, the team gets another call from Taiki Miura's cell phone. Soikyo answers the phone and Aizawa immediately starts recording and tracing the call. The caller tells Soikyo that the deal to exchange the director with their death note is off because Taiki Miura is dead. However, they are now offering Seiyu for the death note instead. Furthermore, if any of them contact any other members of the police about this matter, Seiyu will be killed just as the director was. He then sends Soikyo a picture of Taiki Miura. Soikyo then calls his wife to ask where Seiyu is. She tells him she does not know where Seiyu is. He then calls Seiyu's cell phone, but receives no answer. It is revealed that her phone is on a road near a sidewalk. Light then tells the team that he believes Kira killed Taiki Miura instead of the kidnappers in order to keep a death note out of the kidnappers' hands. He says he believes this because Kira would not want a death note in the possession of those who would use it for their own ends instead of judging criminals. Therefore, this must mean that Kira has a way of getting information from the Japanese police. Later in the evening, the investigation team is contacted again by the kidnappers, and Aizawa again begins to record and trace the call. The kidnappers tell Soikyo to bring the death note to Los Angeles in 2 days. Soikyo says he will not bring the death note unless he knows that his daughter is safe. The kidnapper says he will send another picture to Soikyo and then hangs up. The picture is of a tied-up and gagged Seiyu in front of a television showing a program. Aizawa announces that he has traced the call to the 5th District of Los Angeles. Light then tells the team that the television program shown in the picture is on the air in Los Angeles at the present time. Knowing that Seiyu is safe, Soikyo announces that as the vice director of the police and Seiyu's father, he will take the death note to Los Angeles and this is his decision to make. Furthermore, he will take all responsibility for his actions. Light tells his father it would be better if the team came up with a plan and I'd concurs, but Soikyo remains defiant. The FBI director then receives a call from Light. Light tells the director that he heard what Larry Connors had to say and asks if they would aid the investigation team with investigating the kidnapping of Taiki Miura. Near asks for the phone, and, like Light, has his voice distorted in order to keep his identity a secret. Near greets Light as the second L and Light begins to panic. Regaining his composure, he says, "Second? What do you mean?" Near tells Light that he's from the new group that is investigating Kira without LS help called the SPK. He also tells Light that those higher up in the organization know about LS death. As Near speaks, Light can't shake the feeling of déjà vu. Near's presence and demeanor send shivers down his spine, reminding him eerily of L. The similarities between Near and L are uncanny. And Light finds himself unnerved by the realization that another formidable adversary has emerged. As Near suggests cooperation between himself and Light on the Seiyu kidnapping situation, Light weighs his options carefully. While he is wary of Near's intentions, he recognizes the value in aligning with the SPK to resolve the crisis. "I agree," Light responds, his voice tense with apprehension. Near also recommends that the task force handle the hostage negotiation, since their team is best equipped to handle such delicate negotiations. As preparations for their flight to Los Angeles commence, Soikyo expresses his willingness to sacrifice himself if necessary. Light immediately rebukes his father, refusing to entertain the thought of losing him or Seiyu. "Don't say that, Dad," Light insists, his voice firm with determination. "You and Seiyu are coming back home, safe and sound. Do whatever it takes to ensure that." After the tense exchange, Light turns to me and suggests that I accompany them, citing the potential need for my Shinigami eyes. However, he also wonders to himself, if he will need to resort to using the death note on Seiyu. Sensing the direction of Light's thoughts, I grab him by the collar, my tone laced with a subtle threat. "That's not an option," I assert firmly. "As long as you want to continue breathing." My words hang heavy in the air, a reminder to Light that there are lines he must not cross, even in the pursuit of his goals. As the situation escalates, tensions rise among both investigation teams. With Soikyo's plane diverted and Mello's men taking control, Light and Near struggle to maintain control of the situation. On the ground, Near sends satellite images of Soikyo's drop-off location to Light, hoping to track his movements and intervene if necessary. However, the drop-off takes place in the middle of the desert, far from prying eyes or satellite surveillance. Mello's operative, speaking through a wireless earpiece, demands the death note in exchange for Seiyu's safety. As Near and Light watch the situation unfold, they become increasingly concerned. Despite their efforts to monitor Soikyo's movements, the secret floor ramp opening up catches them off guard. With no way to see what is happening underground, both investigation teams are left in the dark, anxiously awaiting any sign of their next move. They then detect a second aircraft landing behind the plane and believe that it is more reinforcements from the enemy, but to their surprise, I emerge from my private jet. Armed to the teeth and carrying enough explosives to level a small village, confusion and alarm ripple through both the SPK and the Japanese Kira task force. They watch in disbelief as to how I managed to sneak all this past airport security and follow the plane nearly undetected. Hidden in the shadows, I observe as a masked man confirms the trade for the death note in exchange for Seiyu's freedom. As the exchange is completed, I waste no time. With a flick of my pen, I write the masked man's name in my death note, issuing instructions for him to carry out his plans as normal but to leave the death note on the ground before crashing the helicopter into the ground. After exiting the bunker, with precision, I steady my sniper rifle, feeling the weight of the anti-armor heavy round in my hands. As the masked man boards the helicopter, Preparing to make his escape, I take careful aim, my focus narrowing to a single point, the fuel lodge. With a steady hand and unwavering concentration, I line up my shot, calculating the trajectory and timing with meticulous precision. As the helicopter begins to lift off, I exhale slowly, squeezing the trigger at just the right moment. The heavy round streaks through the air, finding its mark with deadly accuracy. It strikes the fuel lodge of the helicopter, igniting a chain reaction of explosions. The helicopter erupts into a ball of flames, engulfed in a spectacular burst of fire and debris. As the wreckage rains down across the desert, I watch with a sense of satisfaction, knowing that the threat has been neutralized. The precision of my shot has ensured that the masked man's escape has been thwarted, and any evidence he might have carried with him has been obliterated in the fiery inferno. While the missile supposedly holding the traded death note streaks through the sky, I quickly take aim with my Accuracy International AXSR rifle. With steady hands and unwavering focus, I line up the shot and fire, sending a tracking beacon hurtling toward the missile's target. The beacon attaches itself to the missile with precision, ensuring that we can monitor its movements and locate it once it reaches its destination. After the chaos settles and the masked man's helicopter crashes as per my calculations, I make my way to Sei's side. She looks up at me with tears in her eyes, trembling from the ordeal she's just endured. I crouch down beside her, offering a reassuring smile despite the gravity of the situation. Sei, it's going to be all right, I say softly, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. You're safe now. Sei nods, her voice barely above a whisper as she struggles to compose herself. Thank you. Thank you so much. I wrap my arms around her in a gentle embrace, letting her lean into me for support. You're brave, Sei. You handled that situation incredibly well. Your brother and father would be proud of you. Tears stream down Sei's cheeks as she clings to me, finding solace in my presence. I was so scared. I didn't know if I'd ever see my family again. You're with family now, I assure her, my voice filled with sincerity. We're going to make sure you get back to them safely. As Sei begins to calm down, I help her to her feet, offering her a reassuring smile. Together, we walk away from the wreckage, leaving the nightmare behind us. Though the scars of the ordeal may linger, I know that with time and support, Sei will heal, and that I will eliminate whoever orchestrated this. With Sei safe for the moment, I turn to Mr. Yagami, urging him to take care of his daughter while I investigate the bunker. As I enter through the missile hatch, I'm met with a scene of chaos and destruction. Amidst the debris, I scour every corner for any clues that might reveal the identity of those responsible for the kidnapping. After a thorough search, I retrieve the traded death note and make my way back to the plane. Upon my return, I inform the SPK and the Kira task force that the bunker was completely empty, but I plan to investigate the crash site for any further evidence. Arriving at the crash site, in an act, I meticulously comb through the wreckage, my keen eyes scanning every inch for any sign of the masked man or the death note. Despite my efforts, all I find are charred remains and scattered metal, leaving me frustrated and determined to uncover the truth behind this elaborate scheme. As the fiery wreckage of the helicopter continues to settle in the desert, both the SPK and the Kira task force come to terms with the gravity of their defeat. Despite saving Sei, they are under the belief that they lost track of the traded death note. However, amidst the uncertainty and tension, Light remains steadfast in his faith. He trusts that I have already retrieved the traded death note, and taken all necessary precautions to eliminate the enemy threat and ensure the safety of Sei. While escorting Sei and Mr. Yagami back to Japan on my private jet, I send the tracking beacon location to the Kira task force, telling them to do what is necessary to eliminate the bastards who dared to threaten the love of my life. then taking Seiyu to the sleeping quarters. Which irritated her father, however there was nothing he could do since I had just saved his daughter's life. In the privacy of the sleeping quarters, I sit down next to Seiyu, who is still visibly shaken by the events that unfolded in the desert. I take her hand gently in mine, offering her a reassuring smile as I try to ease her troubled mind. Seiyu, I begin softly, I know this must have been a terrifying experience for you. But you're safe now, I promise. Seiyu looks up at me, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and gratitude. Thank you, she whispers, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know what I would have done without you. I wrap my arms around her in a comforting embrace, holding her close as she leans into me for support. You don't have to worry anymore, I reassure her. I'm here, and I won't let anything happen to you. As we sit together in the quiet of the sleeping quarters, I gently stroke her hair, trying to soothe her frayed nerves. You know, I say, breaking the silence, we have just over 7 hours until we land back in Japan. That's plenty of time to make sure you forget all about what happened. Seiyu looks up at me with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. How do you plan on doing that? She asks, a hint of skepticism in her voice. I smile warmly at her. Well, first, I think we should distract ourselves with something more pleasant, I suggest. Maybe we could watch a movie or listen to some music. Seiyu's eyes light up at the suggestion, and she nods eagerly. That sounds nice, she agrees. As we settle in to enjoy our time together, I silently vow to do everything in my power to make sure Seiyu feels safe and loved, no matter what challenges may come our way. As the plane continues its journey back to Japan, Seiyu and I spend the time in the sleeping quarters watching Seiyu's favorite movies and listening to her favorite music. I make sure to keep the atmosphere light and cheerful, doing my best to distract her from the recent ordeal. Between movies, we engage in light-hearted conversations, reminiscing about childhood memories and sharing silly jokes. Seiyu's laughter is like music to my ears, and I find myself feeling grateful for the chance to bring a smile to her face. As we settle into the sleeping quarters, Seiyu's stomach lets out a cute rumble, causing her cheeks to flush with embarrassment. I chuckle softly and call for the private chef to serve dinner, requesting a 5 Japanese Kobe beef, Seiyu's favorite. The chef prepares the meal with precision, and soon the tantalizing aroma of the beef fills the room. Seiyu's eyes light up with excitement as the plates are placed before us. She takes a bite, savoring the exquisite flavor, and her smile widens. I notice a bottle of wine on the table and reach for it, but Seiyu quickly interjects. I don't drink alcohol, she says, shaking her head. I smile and nod, signaling to the chef to take it away. Seiyu's expression softens, grateful for the gesture. As we enjoy our meal together, Seiyu's mood visibly lifts. She laughs and chats animatedly, forgetting the tension of the recent events. The sound of her laughter fills the room, and I find myself feeling grateful for these precious moments together. As the jet touches down in Japan, I gently stroke Seiyu's sleeping hair, planting a tender kiss on her forehead. I make a silent vow to eliminate those responsible for threatening even a single hair on her precious head. With Seiyu cradled in my arms, bridal style, I carry her out of the sleeping quarters, a determined grin on my face. Soikyo Yagami, visibly angered by the sight, raises his voice. How dare you do that in my presence, he exclaims, his frustration evident, believing something else had happened there. I hold up a finger to my lips, urging him to calm down. Sure, I whisper softly. Seiyu is sleeping. There's nothing to worry about, all we did was watch movies and eat. Soikyo's expression softens as he looks at his daughter, peacefully slumbering in my arms. He nods reluctantly, understanding the situation. With a sigh, he apologizes for assuming and follows me as we disembark from the jet. Outside, a car is waiting to take us home. I carefully place Seiyu in the back seat, ensuring she remains undisturbed. Soikyo watches silently, his concern for his daughter evident in his eyes. As we drive away from the airport, I glance back at Seiyu, her face serene in sleep. Despite the recent ordeal, I feel a sense of relief knowing she is safe. And with determination burning in my heart, I silently vow to protect her from any harm that may come her way. Arriving at the penthouse, I tuck Seiyu into bed and ensure the door is securely locked behind me. Activating the state-of-the-art security system, I make doubly sure that Seiyu is sleeping safely before transforming into my Shinigami form. With one last glance at Seiyu, sleeping peacefully in her bed, I climb out of the window and take to the sky, flying at supersonic speeds toward the location of the tracking beacon. As I approach the coordinates, I see the remote landscape below. Spotting the bunker where the nefarious plot unfolded, I descend, landing silently just outside the compound. Using my Shinigami abilities, I slip through the defenses undetected, my form blending seamlessly with the shadows. Inside the bunker, I find the remnants of the criminal organization responsible for Seiyu's abduction. With swift and deadly precision, I use my Shinigami claws to tear out the hearts of each mafia member, their cries of agony drowned out by the darkness. As Mello's men fall one by one, he frantically searches for the source of the carnage, but I remain invisible to his eyes. With each strike, his fear grows, knowing that an unseen force is tearing through his defenses. Answering the frantic question, I whisper Newton's first law: an object at rest remains at rest, or if in motion, remains in motion at a constant velocity unless acted on by a net external force. You are the external force that set me into motion by attempting to steal my death note. His eyes widen in terror as he realizes the gravity of his situation. Continuing, I quietly speak, of course you failed since I had planned around your ignorance to the supernatural. You truly were smart, Mikhail Keel. I continue, my voice cold and menacing. But you messed with the wrong god of death. I am the so-called British Kira, and I am nothing like the original. He is a foolish human masquerading as a god, while I am the real deal. Before I could make my final move and sever his carotid artery, Mello triggers an explosion in a desperate attempt to escape. But as the flames engulf the bunker, I remain unscathed, invisible to the chaos around me. In the aftermath, as the smoke clears, I watch from the shadows, my eyes fixed on Mello's retreating figure. Despite knowing his real name and face, I don't write his name in my death note yet. No, I want him to suffer, to live with the knowledge that the true god of death walks among mortals like him. As Mello limps away from the wreckage, his confidence shattered, I linger in the darkness, a silent observer of his downfall. The taste of victory is sweet, but the anticipation of Mello's eventual demise is even sweeter. With a sense of grim satisfaction, I retreat into the night, leaving Mello to grapple with the fear that lingers in his heart, a fear of the unknown. A fear of the true power that he chose to stand against. Flying back to my penthouse. After brushing the dust and soot off my suit, I extend my wings and fly at full speed back to Japan. Entering through the window, I have a quick shower, change into fresh clothes, and then settle down to sleep next to Seiyu, relieved that she is safe once again. The next morning, Seiyu wakes up to find me sleeping beside her. She gently nudges me awake, asking what happened last night and if, well, you know. As I stretch and yawn, I chuckle softly and assure her that no, we didn't do anything except sleep. With a mischievous grin, I playfully push Seiyu back onto the bed and tease her, asking if she wishes we did. Her face flushes bright red, and she swiftly punches me in the arm, calling me an idiot repeatedly. Laughing, I wrap my arms around her and pull her close, grateful for the playful banter and the safety of our shared moment. Meanwhile, the Kira task force is informed by the SPK that an explosion had gone off at the location of Melo's base. And after investigating, it is found that everyone except Melo had died due to a severed carotid artery and that there are no signs of where Melo could have gone. The tension within the Kira task force grows as suspicions and uncertainties mount. Light suggests that the explosion at Melo's base was the work of one of the Kiras, pushing the idea that the British Kira had a hand in it and retrieved the traded death note from Melo. Since the original Kira has to know someone's name and face to kill them, while the British one is completely unknown. N agrees with Light, speculating that the original Kira is Light Yagami and there's a 15% chance the British Kira is me, Damien Saiyan. Soikyo vehemently denies Nia's accusations, defending his sons and insisting they have nothing to do with Kira. As Light realizes that the team is starting to doubt him, he becomes increasingly concerned about maintaining his facade. Meanwhile, Nia instructs the team to inform him if the second L is ever suspected of being Kira, further adding to the pressure on Light. Later, Light overhears Ide expressing his reluctance to work under him and stating his intention to visit Nia soon. This revelation unsettles Light, further fueling his paranoia and determination to maintain control. In response to Nia's actions, Light decides to take drastic measures. He contacts the President of the United States and threatens to kill him unless he cooperates. Light demands any information on the whereabouts of SPK members, hoping to eliminate any threats to his plans. As I step out of the room, Light addresses me in front of the task force, informing me that Nia suspects me of being the British Kira because I was the only other person who knew of Melo's location. Feigning confusion, I inquire why knowing the location implicates me as the British Kira. Soikyo Yagami explains that Melo's base was exploded the previous day with all members killed. Acting shocked, I express my disbelief at the gruesome deaths and emphasize that despite their actions, they didn't deserve such a fate. I assert that I hope they catch whoever is responsible soon. However, I also express relief that those who harmed my Saiyan can never do so again. With a composed demeanor, I excuse myself, stating that I need to go to work to save lives. This response aims to divert suspicion and maintain my innocence in the eyes of the task force. Okay guys, this is where I will be ending the third part of What If Demonic Saiyan Was in Death Note. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. With that out the way, this is Demonic Saiyan saying bye.